Good morning, YouTube. Constitutionality News here again. Thought I'd post a new vid, little different from what I've been doing. This one is about the police and what they're being taught and how to respond to a First Amendment audit. The title is "You're on Camera: How Police Should Respond to a First Amendment Audit." As the individuals are filming police buildings and officers as part of First Amendment audit, here's how cops should respond. And I'll probably get an annoying comment or two in somewhere along the way. I usually do. Okay, this one is by Commander Kevin Baysinger, and Sergeant Michael Thomas, Police One contributors. As law enforcement officers, we are obligated to enforce laws and statutes during the course of our duties. We must also realize that our own behavior and actions are governed by the same laws we are sworn to uphold. And yeah, but some of these officers seem to forget that or just don't care. I'm not sure which sometimes. We're currently seeing a trend of people filming law enforcement, often referred to as a First Amendment audit, which is then posted online. During these audits, people film police buildings and officers. Once contacted, they can become aggressive, challenging, and often seek to be detained by law enforcement while they're filming so that they can post the video of the encounter online. I would have to disagree there, Commander. I know quite a few auditors, not personally, but I know their routines, and they don't actually seek to be detained. They're just out there exercising their rights, and y'all are not recognizing that fact. When they become aggressive or challenging, 99 times out of 100 is because they give what they get. Okay, discussion. The First Amendment of the Bill of Rights protects a person's freedom of speech. Freedom of speech not only means words that are spoken, but also includes actions and expressions. Examples of this can be photographing, videotaping, or protesting by holding up a sign. Excuse me. Court rulings have defined a person's constitutional rights when it concerns videotaping and photographing police personnel. A summary of these rulings and laws are listed below. Number 1, and I hope I pronounce these names right, Glick versus Kunis. Glick observed 3 Boston police officers making an arrest. Due to his concern that they were using excessive force, he filmed the encounter on his cell phone, as he has every right to do. Glick was approximately 10 feet away and not interfering with the arrest. One of the officers told him to cease recording. When the officer learned the video also included audio, he arrested Glick for violation of a wiretapping law, and his cell phone, computer, flash drive was seized as evidence. A lawsuit was filed against Boston citing violation of Glick's First and Fourth Amendment rights. The court held that the video recording an arrest in a public place constituted an exercise of clearly established First Amendment rights. The court also held that the right to film the police has limitations, such as it has to be done at a reasonable time, place, and manner. The court also ruled that the 3 Boston officers were not immune from liability. The city was ordered to pay Glick $170,000. Slightly expensive mistake there, officers. But at least Glick got paid for his time and trouble and problems. Number 2, again, I hope I'm pronouncing these names right. Garricky versus Bacon. Garricky was traveling with a friend in Ware, New Hampshire, when the police pulled over her friend's car. Garricky began filming the encounter with her camera and informed the officers she was doing so. Officers arrested her for unlawful interception of oral communications and seized her camera. Apparently, the officers in these states haven't actually read their wiretapping laws. Excuse me. My understanding, wiretapping laws primarily are concerned with private phone conversations. not whatever's out in public. If you can hear it in public, you can record it in public, is my understanding. But anyway, the First District Court of Appeals ruled that a First Amendment right extends to when police stop a vehicle to question the driver. The court ruled that Garrison was exercising a clearly established First Amendment right when she attempted to film the traffic stop in the absence of a police order to stop filming or leave the area. This is an important case as it suggests that police can restrict individuals filming law enforcement while performing law enforcement duties if a reasonable officer would believe safety is at risk. Uh, there again, I cannot understand for the life of me how a camera or a cell phone is endangering an officer's life or causing a safety risk. But the police use that all the time. I've watched several hundred videos, and it's just ridiculous how many times they pull that safety thing out of their pocket. Anyway, this is contacts with First Amendment auditors. Persons conducting First Amendment audits appear to follow predetermined responses when contacted by law enforcement. They are also inclined to make insulting comments that are intended to provoke a response from the officer. There again, they usually give what they get, although some of them can be a little over the top, so to speak. It is important to remain calm and professional when responding to a situation where someone is recording law enforcement. It's equally important to have an appropriate response if questioned by these groups, with the knowledge that they are looking for an inappropriate response by law enforcement or to be unlawfully detained. Okay, Commander. You insist that they want to be detained. Maybe you'll learn one day. When contacting such groups, remember that your first words will often dictate the remainder of the contact, as with any other contact. A professional greeting such as, "How's it going today?" will often work better than, "What are you doing out here?" or "Why are you recording our police building?" Remember that absent reasonable suspicion, this type of contact would be considered consensual contact and to avoid any coercive, demanding, or aggressive questioning. There's that reasonable suspicion again. Why do they always leave out that middle word? It's reasonable, articulable suspicion. They always forget that. Always. These individuals frequently ask if they are being detained or what the basis is for the detention. Absent reasonable suspicion, an appropriate response would be to tell the person that they are not being detained, or that they are free to leave at any time, or they are free to continue with their activities. Some groups also respond by saying they feel threatened or intimidated by the officers. If they do, it is acceptable to ask them how your presence is threatening to them, or explain what you're doing to make them feel threatened. You can also reinforce that you're simply asking them questions and they are not being detained. Other law enforcement agencies have confronted such groups by saying that they received a call of suspicious behavior by these persons. These groups immediately respond by asking what is suspicious about their behavior. Be honest. If responding based on a call for service of suspicious persons, it is appropriate to say why you are there. Such a response might be similar to the following. Someone called regarding your activity. I'd like to ask you a few questions about what you're doing out here. You're not being detained and you're free to leave at any time. Some people find it suspicious that you're recording our police station and officers. I'd simply like to find out what you're doing here. Commander, it's obvious what they're doing. They're taking photographs or video. It's a dumb question. I'm sorry. It's just really a dumb question. You have eyes. Open them. If there's nothing suspicious about their behavior, it is perfectly acceptable to respond as such. It is also acceptable to ask them what they're doing, why they are recording, and what their purpose for recording such activities. Okay, I'll give you that. It is especially important to note that when a call taker is receiving and generating a call for service concerning a suspicious subject or of suspicious activity, that the call taker obtains specific facts from the reporting party that articulate what is suspicious. It is of equal importance that dispatchers relay these facts to officers. Now, there I would disagree to a point. I think the dispatchers should be trained enough to ask enough pertinent questions that a lot of these calls for service are not necessary. They can stop it right at the dispatch, and that's what it should be done. In my opinion, it would save a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of aggravation and annoyance. And if the event is generated by an officer's observations, it is important that the primary officer clearly communicate the circumstances to other responding officers. Doing so will help prevent a detention being unnecessarily imposed in the event that reason for detention did not exist. Efforts should be made to capture these individuals with body-worn cameras, BWC, in the event identification of these individuals becomes necessary. It is also entirely appropriate for the contact officer to photograph the individuals if BWC footage is not an option. That's the end of the article. I agree with the commander and all up to a point, but they need to go a little bit further with it. Apparently, they're getting a mindset that everybody is on a script out there, and that's not the case. At least in my experience, that's definitely not the case. Although it does, I guess, from a law enforcement officer's point of view, it might sort of seem that way. But anyway, that's the article, and I just thought maybe I found it sort of interesting. Thought maybe some of you would too. Y'all have a wonderful day. This is Constitutionality News, CAN for short. I'm out of here. Bye, y'all.